David Tagawa says, if the extent of Jesus' death was for all, but the application of his death was only for his sheep, why does Jesus say that he lays down his life for his sheep in John 10:15? Verse 16 clarifies extent, right? Okay, this is about the doctrine of limited atonement. For those who you're maybe not fully on board with all this, the doctrine of limited atonement, the idea of did Jesus die for everyone, or did he die only for those who would actually end up believing, right, for the elect? Now, I think he died for everyone, and as you stated in your question, that it's applied. The application of his death is only to those who believe. I think that's there. I've got a couple videos on that in my playlist on Calvinism, and you guys can check that out. Just type, go to the search engine, type my name and Mike Winger and limited atonement, and some stuff will pop up. But let's look at John 10:15. It says here, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep, and I have other sheep that are not of this fold, I must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice, so there will be one flock, one shepherd. So here's an example, I think, and maybe I'm wrong, and David, you're obviously an intelligent, thoughtful guy. Like, I can tell by reading your question, you've thought about this, you carefully worded your question. Forgive me if I'm missing some element of what you're thinking here. It's not intentional. But my impression is that what we're doing is we're reading limited atonement by putting an artificial limit on what Jesus says. So the Father knows me and I know the Father. I lay down my life for the sheep. If you had the word only here, he lays down his life only for the sheep. That would be more like limited atonement. Do you see the difference? He's laying his life down only for the sheep. But then he talks about how he has other sheep that are not of this fold. But then that would be an additional group of people who he's also laying his life down for. They're different sheep than the ones he's talking about here, it seems. I just think limited atonement's not in view here. It's just not. Jesus is saying he's going to die for his sheep. It doesn't say he doesn't die for those who end up rejecting him. I think a better, more accurate passage is 1 John, where it says, my little children, I'm writing these things to you so that you may not sin. But if anyone does sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ the righteous. He, Jesus, is the propitiation for our sins, and not for ours only, but also for the sins of the whole world. I'm convinced that this passage is an insurmountable challenge for limited atonement, because here it is talking about who Jesus died for. And while it says sheep in John earlier, here in 1 John, it says our sins and the sins of the whole world. Now, I'll get the video link for you guys, and I'll put it in the description after the live stream's over. But in my thing on limited atonement, I labor on this passage. I go through, how does John use the phrase whole world? How are we supposed to understand this phrase world? Does he mean non-believers? Does he mean non-believers? Or does he only mean believers that are maybe outside the church currently? And I think I demonstrate, obviously I think I'm right. Okay, everybody thinks they're right. You think you're right too, even right now. Whatever you're thinking about me thinking I'm right, you think you're right about it, don't you? So I would like to put the video link there for you guys to consider and think about, and let me try to demonstrate why I hold this position, that Jesus died for all. I'll put the link down below in the description as soon as the live stream is over. Yeah.